Absolutely great to be here, and this is an amazing event. And so far, what I've seen in quality of discussion and presentation has been pretty great. So I'll try to keep up with the standard. So what we got here is a presentation around AI strategy development and experiences. So why? Let me see if it's working. No. Yeah, here it is. So, agenda for the presentation. We got a very quick archive profile, why I'm here, why I've been invited. The strategic relevance of AI, why any company in any type of sector cannot avoid diving into it right now. The state of adoption by industry and by function, because these determine the type of options that we got. And then experiences and lessons learned, few points around developing an AI strategy, because this is something that we do in our daily job. Let me see, where is the receiver? So, why I'm here? My company is called Arkwright. We are a spin-off from one of the big strategy firms. It's been around for over 30 years, and simply we do strategy for companies, and we work as a specialist provider for bigger organizations. In addition to Arkwright, we got Arkwright Digital, that is a fully owned digital agency, and an incubator in the Nordics, in Oslo. Let me see, here it is. Okay, so we got Thought Leadership. These are some examples. If you go on our website, you can download stuff I co-publish on INSEAD Knowledge, mostly with the head of the strategy department in platform and ecosystem topics. AI, artificial intelligence, has been around for decades, and all of a sudden is the big elephant in the room. So if we take the development, it started being deployed in banking as machine learning with the earliest model since the 80s. But all of a sudden, we got a massive acceleration of adoption, massive acceleration of spotlight of attention, investments going in, skyrocketing, and so on. Why? Let me see. Because of ChatGPT. 2 years ago, ChatGPT changed absolutely everything. In less than, 2 months, achieved 100 million users. That has been driving a massive amount of attention from the investment community, from the businesses that started looking at it, thinking, what is the potential? What can we do? So adoption very, very fast. Why is this thing operating on its own? Can we go back one, please? Thank you. But on the other side, there's one thing that we have to keep in mind. When we ask important questions from ChatGPT, this has been trained with 40 billion tokens of common crawl campus. So these are web page data, there's books, 67, 19 billion, 3 billion. So the vast majority of the content is my sister's Facebook. Something that this thing hallucinates from time to time, no wonder. Yeah, the green button, yeah, that's what I'm doing. So why GenAI is important? So machine learning is something that develops rules. So basic system, we got a workflow solution. If something is red this way, something is blue the other way. Or value over 5, yes, value below 5, no. Typical, very basic credit scoring mechanism. Do you have an employment? Yes, no, eligible, not eligible. Machine learning started developing capability to set up the rules, not just executing them in their own right. And this ability to set up the rule has become more and more complex, to the point that artificial intelligence is now matching or surpassing human capability in taking decisions. So as of today, AI is core of radical industry and competitive landscape transformation. Here there are 4 quotes, there are plenty online. If we are not looking at it from a company perspective, from a country strategy perspective, the risk of staying behind is pretty meaningful. Is it the same across all industries? We're going to see that in a second. MIT has done an analysis on the impact of AI and GenAI. And this has been divided in three categories. So revenue potential, instances in which GenAI is going to lead to new revenue opportunity and improve on value creation and value capture. Then we have the cost-saving potential, and then we have the increased competition, where we enable competitors, new players, to enter in our sector and start fighting for our customers. And different industries have very different positioning in here. So if we can see luxury goods as a cost-saving potential and revenue potential, if we are in banking, where I mostly work, there's a cost saving, but there's a massive risk of increased competition out of fintechs and other players that are going to come in, for example, out of embedded finance and industry convergence. Oops. Okay, so different industries have reached different stages of AI maturity, and there's a different upside to be developed. On the horizontal graphic axis, we have the AI maturity in Fortune 500. On the y-axis, the vertical one, the expected gross added value from AI implementation in 2035. Different industries are positioned very, very, very differently. So, no surprise, technology and financial services are two industries that have been deploying this and investing quite radically. Telecom is also pretty advanced, but if we look at here, and we are, I don't know, a metal and mining company, and we are not very well advanced in developing our own AI strategy, probably we are still okay. If we are a bank, in particular in markets where investment in AI is pretty heavy, US, Asia, we have a bit of a problem. So there are no differences. There are differences not only in terms of maturity and potential. There are also differences in where AI is being applied across sector. So we got a tool that is pretty versatile, quite universal in applicability, but it is applied in very different ways across sectors. And knowing what competitors are doing, where the potential is pretty important. At the same time, we are starting seeing patterns of applications that are pointing us to where the value is seen by industry players. This industry cannot be considered to be nascent anymore. In a lot of instances, we are at industrial deployment scale. What are the primary benefits, for example, of GenAI? ESG criteria, classification and decision-making, automation of manual and repetitive tasks, enhancement of IT operation. AI can code in an amazing manner. Collect, process, analyze data for KYC, IML. There's a lot of them. And these are generic, universal across sectors. As we look into each of the individual sectors, there are sector-specific applications that are more prevailing than others. Applicability of one example of a payment value chain. That's an industry where I spend a lot of my time. AI is practically present throughout the chain. So we go from the customer acquisition, onboarding, product development, customer support, fraud and compliance, organizational support. This thing is becoming so good that in many cases can completely automate tasks. We got one bank, so one of the mental model is thinking that only the big players can deploy it with effectiveness. In reality, scale is no longer a barrier. For example, was just mentioning South State Bank in the US is a small credit union. They ended up deploying a very simple auto GTP. This is a deployment of a GTP that is called an agent, act on his own right. It was given a task to develop testing, A/B testing for marketing campaign and reach 2 million deposit within 1 month. In 5 weeks and a half, he reached 2.6 million. And it only took supervision. It deployed the test, the sampling, decided which customer to send the emails, measured the results completely on his own. So pretty pervasive. So talking about value capture, where is AI applicable within the value equation? So here we got a value equation, a graphical illustration. We got the costing side. Whenever we price at cost, we go break even. If we go over that, we create value, we put a price, we generate value. Typically, we do not capture all the value we got, but AI is applicable completely throughout the bar. Either because we improve on our market reach, so we get better in targeting, in segmenting, and so on. We reduce cost, so we improve the ability to capture value, or we can compete better. We reduce cost, we pass that cost reduction down to our customers as a lower price, and we start eating out market share from competitors. I was mentioning earlier on, AI is good at taking decisions. AI is good at taking decisions very often better than humans. This is a slide from Enrico Dicidue. I'm a learning coach at INSEAD Executive Education across a strategy and digital transformation program. Oops, why is this thing going on its own? So AI is differently from human, doesn't get tired, doesn't get distracted, is pretty objective in taking decisions on specific rules. If within the rules there are biases, then the bias filters down into the AI decision. But nonetheless, bootstrap algorithms are pretty good, to the point that there are companies that are starting deploying AI as an advisor to board. Tieto Every, for example, in the Nordics, as a board non-executive director AI. So there's a lot that we can do with this type of technology. What does it take if we are an organization to start thinking about artificial intelligence? Let's say that we're starting from scratch, or we got some pilots. Well, the first point to look into is the strategy. The strategy tells us where we are, where we have to go, and so far, what has been the approval from the board in terms of pathway to get to a specific target. That tells us where the priorities are in terms of market expansion, commercial effort, cost reductions, and so on. But there's way more than that. We got a lot of information that is coming from the market. What are competitors doing is absolutely paramount in order to be sidelined in not very long term. If our competitors are deploying this type of technology to improve on cost by 30%, how long is it going to take before they can start biting us back? So we need to keep a close eye on what they're doing. On the other side, the industry is pretty much mature in a number of sectors. So if we cast a very wide radar view and perspective, we can pick up where the best practices are, what other organizations have been learning, either in other geographies or in other sectors, and that's where the gold mine of knowledge and information can come in order to deploy. Is that enough? No. We need to know very well our internal company value chain. And there are some internal factors that tell us where this deployment is feasible or not. For example, data quality is one of them. The strategic relevance in terms of value creation, the alliance with the strategy, the impact on the organization, ethical considerations. And let's not forget that these type of technologies consume a huge amount of energy. One of the common mistakes in AI deployments is thinking that the solution is AI. In reality, about 50% of the cases, Whatever we want to do can be addressed with workflow solutions or completely different and much simpler technology. So if I'm sitting on the board of a company and I have to disclose my carbon footprint, publish it as part of my annual reporting, publish it and disclose it to my investors, to my lenders that are starting becoming selective, well, I have to be selective on where I deploy this type of technology, and there are specific metrics to decide priorities, where to do it and where not to. So, different options if we are looking at AI. Wait and see. So, we are in mining, maybe not anymore, but there are some sectors, some geographies where potentially we can still think of having the luxury of waiting for a week before taking action. There is a lot of piloting. The mantra up to about 1 year ago is that we need to pilot and to get our hands dirty. Organizational learning is very important. When the industry is starting industrializing, maybe we don't have the luxury of being in a sandbox and playing with toys anymore. We need to start getting a bit more serious about the deployment. Me too, very easy. If our competitors or if a company in our sector in another market is becoming really good at it, maybe that's the time to start investigating and looking what they're doing, and whenever possible to copy, in order at least to not to lose position. They will always have a time advantage, and time is a strategic value, but at least we will be late, but we will be heading in the same direction. And then finally, the strategic initiative as part of integral corporate strategy mandate from the board. And very curiously, but I guess not very surprisingly, only a minority of boards globally have AI expertise to lead this type of project. So depending on the industry, there is a director with board expertise, for example, in communication services in 10% of the cases, where the AI responsibility and decision-making is mandated or delegated, at least as on an advisory fiduciary role, to an AI ethics board. Information technology is the most advanced. Here, the total is 38. But nonetheless, this is a minority, and this is pointing to a massive amount of opportunity. If we are running a company, probably there's a good chance that some of our competitors are going to be in a position where they are not paying enough attention. So that provides a competitive advantage too. Failure. AI is a type of technology and type of project that leads to failure quite often and quite regularly. About 30% of GenAI pilots are going to be dropped before reaching maturity, based out of Gartner. Rand report that about 80% of AI project fails. We are seeing statistics in this type of range. Sometimes we are called in when it is a little bit too late to try to salvage the project. Why are so many failures? So AI is a complex type of technology. There's a lot of implications. It's not just a matter of looking at, do we have enough data? Is the data clean? The question is, do we have the right data to begin with? Do we have the right data in the area where we're trying to apply it? Do we have the processing capability, the power to crunch enough data? Do we have the capability and the approach to develop the right model? Do we go for a Kaggle competition or a direct development, internal or so? There's a lot of decisions, but the three key reasons or group of reasons why technology fail is data. We got the wrong data. We don't align it with the strategy. We start playing around. Something is cool. We try to deploy. It makes absolutely no difference for the business. And then finally, underestimating the change management, the impact on processes and people. We got one case of an engineering company that they did something really cool. So they got technicians doing maintenance to very complex machinery. They go out with a tablet and on the tablet they got the technical specification of whatever they are working on. So this company started deploying the glasses with augmented like the on-screen projection, an AI that realize and understand what type of kit they are dealing with. Nobody was using it. Technology is amazing, nobody was using it. Simply because it was badly communicated. People thought that the company would have been snooping on them. They could have been scaled down in terms of skill and capability. And it took quite a little bit of experiments to get it going. At the end, one of the results from the pilot was that some of the technicians didn't want to have it on screen because they found it disturbing. They wanted to have it in the ear. So the change element in the way we work is absolutely significant. This is not just automation, is significantly going to change the nature of what we do and how we do it. So, conclusions. AI adoption is progressing fast, and the speed of impact is very different from industry to industry, but inaction is not an option. There are multiple variables and inputs to be taken in account while formulating an AI strategy. This is not a simple equation that can be left to IT or to business. All functional elements have to come together to work out what is the most effective deployment of this technology. And then finally, there are multiple barriers to success, to implementation, and a governance gap that need to be taken into account. The magnitude differs from industry to industry, but nonetheless the risk of failure with investments that are quite significant are meaningful enough to make us pause when we start thinking of deploying this before we push the green button. And with that, this is my last slide. We got time for questions, 5 minutes. So these are my contact details. I'm easily findable on LinkedIn. Yes, please. Can I have a translator thingy, please? The translator. Sorry, my Spanish is awful. I understand a little bit out of Italian. I can manage in Portuguese, but depending on accent, my Spanish is really, really, really bad. Cool. Thank you.
Hola. Hi, I can do the question in English.
So. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
You mentioned something that's very important, and that's models and AI solutions are normally not the case every time. It's rare that a problem requires AI.
I wouldn't say it's rare.
But many problems can be solved without it, right? And maybe the
we are
value...
in the middle of a hype. That's the problem. We are in the middle of a hype. And the hype is AI can do everything, including coffee. Do I really need an AI to do coffee for me?
Yeah. And because companies can have AI teams or dedicated teams for AI and data science, how do you orient those teams specifically to those problems? My point is, how do you identify which problems can be solved better with AI and not other flows? Because normally teams are structured like a data team would have, just like a data scientist, a data engineer, and not maybe someone that would identify like, no, this is a problem that you can solve with a simple data flow or something. Yeah. How do you identify value on problems that can be solved better with that in a company environment?
First of all, I wouldn't leave a business decision to data sciences. Deciding where to deploy this is a business decision. Is something in the domain of a chief operating officer, of a chief strategy officer, and similar. There's input that has to come in from the data scientist, because data is one of the criteria, is one of the fitness factors that I add in the value chain, like the little variables that tell us if something is feasible or not, if we would derive value or not, and so on. But data scientists would come in when the decision of which direction and where to apply it has already been taken.
So it should come from higher upstairs. Like they should identify the problems that should be solved with this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If we are leaving business decision to IT, that is a great unit. It's simply not their area of specialization. IT colleagues are absolutely great at deploying solutions, developing apps, and so on. But in order to develop an app, we need to give them business specification, business requirement, technical requirements. We need to tell them what they have to do.
Another question here.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Frederick Aguirre. Mucho
Hello,
gusto.
hello. My name is Freddy Aguirre. How are you doing? Nice to meet you.
Mi pregunta va enfocada a cómo evitar la resistencia interna de los empleados para el tema de la inteligencia artificial.
My question
20
goes along how to avoid employee resistance or employees' opposition to the deployment or implementation of artificial intelligence.
Sí, ¿cuál es la mejor práctica cultural o cómo se puede manejar para poder evitar esa resistencia
What is the best cultural practice, or how could we handle it better to avoid opposition from the employees to the implementation?
Yeah, so the criteria, the only single criteria that I would point is an evaluation of the impact. Dealing with people that are going to lose their job because their job is going to be automated is very, very different. That helping colleagues to see value out of AI when their job is going to become easier because their tasks are being augmented. So implementing, deploying AI is a change management program, and this type of change management is exactly the same that we would deploy into a right-sizing initiative, into an automation, into a merger. It is exactly the same in terms of communication, transparency, understanding the impact, working out potential mitigators, defining alternative ways, preventing resistance, working out, identifying agents of change and change champions that can pass on the message and carry everybody with them, getting the low-hanging fruits that can prove the case and the value for change straight away for the organization as well as for the board and investors alike, and so on, is straight change management out of a change management toolkit.
Thank you. Another question?
Hello, here. Hi, yeah, here.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. You mentioned that data quality is one of the biggest thing of generative AI, right? Mm-hmm. How do you ensure this data quality? For example, in collecting the data or processing the data, or in your words, how you ensure this quality of the data?
Data has to be sampled. So first of all, I need to decide what I want to do or what I'm trying to address with AI. With that, I have an idea of which data I need to get. Data can be dirty, can be not reachable, can be duplicated, could be unavailable. There's a lot of potential challenges to the data side. And to be true, cleaning data is a pretty heavy, intensive work. I mean, I know technology companies that have very large teams deployed in very often located in low-cost countries that do nothing else than cleaning data sets. One of the interesting applications that we've seen in GenAI, we got it deployed on a couple of other of clients' instances. We saw it deployed to do data sampling and data cleansing in his own right. So we need to look at the specific case. But if the data is rubbish in, rubbish out. And that is not just an AI, it's also AI in general or even machine learning. You need to have good data in order to get a good outcome.
Hi.
There's one question here.
Thank you. My name is Nabore. I'm from the Universidad Militar. Hi.
Hi.
The question is similar. You say that the problem is the quality of the data.
It's one of the problems. It's not necessarily
One of the
the
problems.
only one.
But as a user, I don't develop the AI. I need to use some kind of prompts or filter to make better that work, that filter in the data, like a prompt or an advice that you can tell us.
Oh, prompting is a science in its own right. I mean, one of the good things that companies may do is to get employees to prompt. Prompt engineering is going to be one of the future capabilities that companies will need to have.
We think in the creation of a career that makes the use of the AI. Do you see that is a great kind of opportunity?
Prompting is absolutely not just an opportunity, it's a basic skill that we should start picking up quite universally. What was it, last week? I'm involved in the Nordics, in the Board Impact Forum, and one of the things that was coming out of research with INSEAD and a couple of other universities is the ability for board people, board members, board directors and NEDs to do prompting. There is so much that we don't know. Like, for example, how many know that if we use ChatGPT and we want ChatGPT not to use our content to train, we can say it. One prompt is, don't use my data for your own training. Perplexity leaves it out. Or we develop a model or a piece of code or whatever, and then we say, okay, can you analyze this piece of code? Tell me, what is wrong in it? Are there any mistakes? And the system goes in. So there's a lot of very even common sense things that typically we don't use because we haven't been thinking of it, but are well within the capability of the technology. So prompt engineering is a matter of researching what good prompting practices are, and if we are a company that is deploying or who want our employees to use this type of technology seriously, maybe that could be a good investment in this type of training. And
thank you.
Good morning. I'm John. It's known that AI consumes a lot of energy, electricity, and we see that only generating one image can consume around the charging of one cell phone. How do you see that Latin America will project and plan the generation of clean energy, and if we need to focus in nuclear energy in the future so we can cover the consumption of electricity?
Oh, your question is a bit beyond my domain for two reasons. First of all, I'm not an energy specialist, and secondly, I haven't been looking at the specificity of South America. It's true, AI in general consume a lot of energy, and that is creating on one side a paradoxical situation where you have people complaining about the carbon footprint of, I don't know, traffic and car usage and so on. Well, on the other side, they're using their phone with ChatGPT on whatever, even petty type of questions. On the other side, it is a big problem, and it is a big governance problem on the size of companies, on the size of governments at national level, and on the size of super government organizations, because this has an impact, massive impact on our planet. So how we are going to balance out our ability to compete within companies, like are we deploying more so we become better than our competitors? We're doing it in Colombia in a more intensive way. We incentivize investment and so on, to the point that our energy consumption is skyrocketing, because that is drive GDP creation and jobs and so on. That there's a lot of questions that will imply necessarily a compromise type of answer. Please.
Another question here.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gerard. So I need to ask you about very important to the world, the countries, the states, and the humanity about the security for the humanity crisis. So I will do it in Spanish because I'm Colombia. We are right here. We got it now. Several problems about the programations that make no good skills to our nation. Okay. Me parece haber escuchado que para usted no es, digamos, no es terrorífico, no hay un apocalipsis con la inteligencia artificial.
I think dice que no escuchaste. Okay, sí escuchaste. Oh, he thinks that he heard from you that it's coming over an apocalypse with the implementation of artificial intelligence.
Absolutely
or is it
not.
Not.
I didn't mention the word apocalypse. It's going to be, the change is going to be significant.
Okay.
But I haven't said it's going to be apocalyptic. There are challenges. I mean, for example, fraudsters and the crime is a global industry. They are pretty good at using technologies against a lot of other industries. So in the banking and the payment industry, the type of fraud and threats that we see coming out are significant in terms of social engineering, deep fakes, and so on. Every type of technology is a two-edged sword. Can be used for value creation, for positive impact, as well as may create some threats. Whenever we are going to have quantum computing at industrial scale deployment, all of our passwords will be gone. Everything will be crackable in a matter of seconds. So in that case, probably we will be able to use quantum to create a better security, but nonetheless, in terms of technology, there's an opportunity and there's change. It depends how we want to look at it. Is change going to provide a better upside? If something is going to be impacted in a negative manner, it is up to the social responsibility of companies, of the planning of regulators and so on to address it and to think of that. You know, we have to balance competition with human development, in my personal perspective.
So, I'm on progress. ¿Dónde está el traductor? Gracias. Recientemente encontramos un problema bien grave de seguridad para Colombia. Por ejemplo, una compañía de origen israelita implantó a través de un gobierno anterior un software llamado Pegasus, donde supuestamente dicen que solamente se lo venden a los estados. Yo quiero preguntarle en este momento, ¿cómo ve usted, señor Gerard, la organización ética, digamos, qué se está haciendo en cuanto a la ética para que realmente el apocalipsis que quizás no ven unos, sí se puedan ver porque estamos en el mundo, en la esfera global, con tecnologías que pueden hasta acabar con un Estado? Fíjense, a raíz de esto el presidente de la República de Colombia abortó las relaciones internacionales diplomáticas con ese Estado israelita. Entonces quiero preguntarle si nos puede comentar brevemente qué se está haciendo en cuanto a la ética, o nos tenemos que resignar a que el dinero, el capital o los más poderosos del mundo realmente puedan ponernos en un estado de semi-esclavitud, por ejemplo. Gracias.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, you got
I
it?
understand. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I was to the
I'm
purpose of the
getting
international-
used to it. Like, give me a week, I would be able to get going. Okay, so I'm not going to comment on the specific Pegasus case because that's way above my pay grade. And it is something that has had an impact globally, not just on specifically Colombia as a country. Technology is a global phenomenon. With the internet, we got universal rapid exchange of information. Knowledge has no boundaries, and the application of technology in in the vast majority of the cases has no boundaries either. There's a challenge of affordability, but on the other side, as you can see out of this type of case, things can be deployed even remotely, being on the other side of the world. As I said, this is way above my pay grade, but it is something that more and more we will need to address as a society as a whole. The World Economic Forum has a lot of working groups on this. We can have a long debate if we deem them to be effective or non-effective and so on, but this is a meaningful problem. Do I have a solution? Unfortunately not, because probably if I had, I would be a very famous person, very rich, sitting somewhere else. So unfortunately, I wouldn't know what to say. It is a material problem. How we are going to address it, it is up to government and other organizations.
Gracias. La última pregunta, the last question over here.
Hello. My name is, good morning, my name is Camilo Andrés Murillo Castellanos. Quiero realizar una pregunta.
I'd like to make a question to you.
Pues me interesa al respecto de todo el avance.
I'm very interested
que ha habido
in
con
respect to all
respecto
the scientific advancement that is in regards to the artificial intelligence.
que me gustaría
And
cuestionar.
something that happens daily and I would like to question is how could we
los medios de
improve
desarrollo para
the
aportar a los
the development,
de comunicación,
the means of development
el almacenamiento en la nube,
to
el caché que está, digamos, colgado o que ha administrado almacenamiento como caché en la red o en la web.
I didn't get the final part of the
last-
question, sorry.
So
¿Cómo podría
how could we
contribuirse
improve
con todos estos medios que hay
with
de
all these means,
imágenes, archivos
how to improve
colgados
with all these
en la
means of
web y
files
también todo el caché que hay en la
and
red?
cache that is in the web, how to improve the cache that is in the web.
How can we improve the cache?
The cache, the memory, cache memory,
The cache memory?
cache memory, yeah.
Oh, well, the problem when we got with the web is right now that we are generating way more information than what the actual infrastructure can store, and more and more organizations are starting grappling with the challenge and the decision of which information to retain and which not to retain. But for example, I am a former HSBC. Many years ago in the UK, I was a banker, and regulation implies that we needed to retain information for a specific number of years. If you're a customer, if you're a user, you're better off retaining copies of your electronic statements for a period of time. So knowledge has a value, but that has a cost, and the cost is handling and retaining it. How we are going to deal with the increasing amount of information that is produced, generated, calculated, metadata, and so on. There's something for my data scientist colleagues to address better than me. Thank you. Thank you